Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Vollmer. And today is basically Susannah hits the jackpot. It's kind of like the theme, really. It's basically another thank you, and I wasn't really gonna do this video purely because my last video was put up on Boxing Day, so it's nearly going on for a month, which by my standards is quite a long time. Because I'm usually putting up videos virtually every week and sometimes twice a week. But to be honest with you, I was a little bit cheesed off because somebody had made a passing remark to me about my videos. And what kind of bugged me about it was actually somebody I actually valued as a friend. And I know this person pretty well, and it kind of took me back a little bit. So that's pretty much the reason why I haven't really done very much in the way of videos. Because to be honest, I just kind of took a step back from it all, and not to say that I haven't done anything on the railway, because I've done a huge amount on the railway. And the thing is, I'm actually due to receive an item by the end of the month. And I was thinking to myself, well, I'll just give it a month and then I'll do the video. So what I have to show you is something completely different, and it isn't actually related to what I'm actually scheduled to get. So I just wanted to kind of just clarify that. And hence why this video's turned up, because I felt I just had to do it, because this person that has basically, it's another thank you video, like I said earlier. And once again, Michael Lawrence, you have surpassed yourself once more, and I'm absolutely blown away. When I mean blown away, I mean blown away. Some time ago, I'd had a conversation with Michael, probably back end of last year, I think it's December sometime last year. And we'd had a discussion about this particular item that I'm about to show you. And he said to me, that he could do it for me. And he said, look, just let me get Christmas out of the way, and, we'll sort something out and I'll get back to you and all the rest of it. And to be honest with you, I'd completely forgotten about it. Until about 2 days ago, I think it was. Yesterday, in fact. And he kindly messaged me to turn around and say to me, there's a little something on its way to you. And I was like, I wasn't really expecting it, or expecting anything, to be honest. And but then it kind of clicked into my head about the conversation that I'd had with him some time ago. So I was kind of hoping it was what I thought it was going to be, and it turns out that it is. I've taken the packaging off it, but I haven't actually opened it, in terms of I haven't taken it out of the box. And just looking at it on the side view, I'm just like, oh my gosh, wow. I haven't seen it from the front, and that's the crux of this item. So let me just show you what it is. This is a Network Rail coach, which has been converted to a DBSO coach. And this is something that I've been wanting for a long time as well. Now, a bit of background information with Michael, I should say, is that he kindly done so much for me. I mean, it's just like many of you, to be honest, which I guess is why it bothered me when the person who made that remark said it and said what they said. And I don't think it was intentional, but it did hurt. And I was kind of a bit taken aback by it because I did value this person. So that's why, because it's like I really value it. And it's like Michael's done so much for me. He did the Freightliner lorry, he done the straddler, and he also did the other crane for me, the reach stacker, I should say, as well as the straddler. So, and now he's done this. And I did say that I wanted a DBSO, but I thought that Bachmann were going to bring them out. Because Bachmann brought out the blue-grey one, and I think they brought out another one. I'm not sure. The ScotRail one they brought out as well. And I thought, that Bachmann were going to be bringing out some of the others, but they haven't got around to doing it yet, and I don't know whether they will. And the intention was probably to get another 37 to top and tail with my DBSO. With my 37 coalesce that I bought, I should say, because that was the intention. Because I wasn't really expecting this at all, and now I'm just going to open it up and we're going to have a look. Right, there's it. You can see it here. Now there's a little bit that needs to go on the front, which I believe is the which needs to be glued in, which is the buffer beam. So it is quite delicate. So let me just, if I can work out how to open it. And this is so cool. So there is a little bit of buffer beam detail to go onto here, which should have gone on here, but that needs to be just glued on, so I'll glue that on and then I'll show it to you. But that's what I'm going to do, so just bear with me a minute and I will just come back and show it to you. So hello and welcome back. Right, so let me just show you how it looks, and it looks superb. Now I have had to do one slight modification to this, I have to say. So what happened, let me just explain to you what happened. So this is the front end of the DBSO, and it looks absolutely immense. It is 9702, and it's got the buffer beam detail. Now that's the bit that fell off. So it's had to be glued back on. So I've glued it on with my glue gun. But what I noticed is that it was the buffer beam at the bottom here, the snowplow here, was actually a bit too low. So it was catching, when I put it on the track just to see, it was catching a little bit. So what I've done is just taken a slight little sliver off the top and rejigged it, and now it sits much better now, so it's good. But it's absolutely brilliant. I'm so pleased. So thank you so much, Michael. I've got a DBSO. It's cool. He's done a grand job. Also, there's additional detailing on the sides. And this is made from a Hornby coach, I believe. And he's just, and he's, you know, I think it is. It looks like a Hornby. It could be an Airfix coach. It doesn't actually say what it is, to be honest. But it looks like it's had a complete repaint, and it just looks absolutely immense. And I'm so pleased. I mean, that looks ace. One of the more unique features of my layout, that's what I love about the layout, is like, I like it when you see people's layouts and they've got like sort of like features that you don't normally see on other people's layouts, and I think the DBSO is going to look so cool with the rest of my train. So let me take you on to the rest of the actual layout update. So see you shortly. So here we are at the layout, and one of the biggest things that's happened to my layout, there's been quite a few changes to this layout actually. since I last spoke to you. But one of the biggest things that's changed is this. I've got my Prodigy Express working again. Now, I still have no idea why it wasn't working. I don't know what caused it to fail, and I don't know if it's likely to fail again, to be honest. But the thing being is just that I was using the Hornby Elite as my backup, but I was getting seriously fed up with it in terms of its performance, its lack of responsiveness, and sometimes when it went to zero, the speed would then fluctuate and go straight back to the top. So then you think you're stopping it, then it just goes shooting off again, and I was just getting so fed up with it. It just seems like there's a certain way you can use it, or you have to use it to get the best out of it. And the other thing is with the Hornby Elite is that I can't move around the layout as I'd like. So sometimes if I want to move about, you just can't do it with the Elite because it's just not practical. It is there because I haven't actually put it away yet, but it's also connected to my programming track at the moment, because I do actually like using the Elite for the programming, the CVs, because I find that really easy and useful because I know exactly what I'm doing. With this, it's a bit more tricky, so I've kind of use one. I'm now back on this for running the actual trains and using that for just like making alterations. And then I can keep that separate from the main layout. So now this is working again. I'm really pleased. I was going to go, because I'm actually off this week, I was planning on going to Gauge Master to try and get this resolved, but I don't think there's any point taking it because they'll probably test it and say there's nothing wrong with it. So I don't know what's wrong with it or what happened to it, but it's now working again, so hopefully it will remain working. Also, what I did is I've also rewired the actual point from which the Prodigy Express is actually connected. So it's connected directly from the middle of the layout, and that will give me scope using the cable to go anywhere around the layout that I need to go to, rather than putting it at one end or the other end, and then I can only go so far. So that was something else I've been doing. As you can see, we have two trains running. The DBSO is now connected, and the 37 is propelling the DBSO. So that is really cool. And on the other track, we have Evening Star, GBRF 66 Evening Star, propelling my rake of container wagons. So I'm going to spin you around, and then I'm going to show you a bit more closer the track work and what's been doing, and some other bits and pieces. And I've also got some other stock to show you. So there's still quite a bit to show you. So join me in a moment. That looks nice. Yeah, thank you, Michael. That DBSO looks absolutely brilliant. Something else I've been doing is I've been steadily progressing on this corner. I don't think I showed you this on my last update. I've created a low relief kind of disused building, and I've been adding some of the trees and just adding to it to make it even more disused. And as you can see, I've also added some more bits down at the other end, some more foliage, and make that even more disused, which is just created a really nice scene. And if I go out, that's probably better. There's even more rubbish and bits and pieces here. So this is something else I have been doing. Something else that I've also been doing is, if I sort of pan you around, I've also been doing, it's a bit stiff as the DBSO comes into view. I've been doing the fencing or crash barriers, I should say, right on the, if I just try and zoom you in a bit. There you go. So if I could try and zoom you in a bit more, you can sort of see the crash barriers, because obviously the wagons are obscuring the rest of the crash barriers. But if you can see, it is just those crash barriers there. I've just finally soldered them all together. I've repainted them, sprayed them, and then after just painted them yellow and black. That's something else that I've been doing. So just before I stop running this network crowd set, I just wanted to have a quick chat before I introduce you to some of the other stock that I've got. I just wanted to introduce you to my 37521. Now I did introduce you to you when I bought it, and it was on the rolling road on the test track. Now when I got this, I basically traded in a load of stuff to get this particular 37. And along with this 37, I traded it in. I got a chip for it at the same time. Now the chip is a Gauge Master Ruby chip. And I just wanted to point out that I don't like it. And I don't really recommend it. So if you've never tried a Ruby chip or a Gauge Master chip, then be warned. Now, the reason why I say that is that the chip had the CV settings for acceleration and deceleration at 0. That was the default. So literally, as soon as you turn the knob or the dial or whatever you want to call it, it would start straight away, and obviously when you set it to 0, it would just stop dead as well. So obviously a lot of you would turn around and say, well, you can adjust the CVs using 3 and 4, and which is what I did. And I've played around with these CV settings 3 and 4 on this decoder, but it only works to a point, and that's why I still don't like it. The chip's still in there, but if I get a sound chip for it, I'll probably put that chip on one of my lesser kind of locos that I don't tend to run as much, and I'll just leave it and put on that one. Because even though I've addressed the situation with CV3 and 4, it will take longer to accelerate and take slightly longer to stop, as is prototypical. But it gets to that point that when it stops, it just stops. And it's really so you don't have that smoothness. It kind of reminds me of the old clunk kind of Hornby kind of controller that I used to have when I had a train set, where you just had a slow speed, and then when you switched it off, it just stopped dead. And that's what this kind of still does, even though it's if I just put it on speed step 1, you can hear it, and then it will just go. Hang on a minute, that's because I've got the wrong one. Bear with me a minute. Controller error. Here we go. See, as you can see, look, it just stops. So even though I've adjusted the acceleration and deceleration settings on this, it still does that. So let me just show you again. If you turn it to 0, it just stops. Now I've tried a number of settings to try and address this, but it's still not having it. It will just stop It's actually not so bad on the start, it's more on the stop. You can just, there's a definite kind of shut off. So I'm not a fan of this of this decoder at all, to be honest with you, and I won't be buying any more, but I just thought I'd let you know in case any of you are thinking of buying this decoder. But I mean, there's nothing wrong essentially with the decoder. It still works and does what it's supposed to do, but it's just not as smooth as some of my other decoders. And to be truthful with you, I'm not really a huge fan of Gauge Master decoders per se in any case. I've had more success with Batman's and Hornby decoders than I have with Gauge Master ones. So this isn't the first Gauge Master decoder that I've had issues with. So I've had another Gauge Master decoder which I put into one loco, and the loco absolutely hated it. And when I switched it onto another loco, it seemed to suit it better, so I left it in that one. So I mean, I'm not quite sure why, but I've just had issues with some of those Gauge Master decoders. So next on my list of things to talk to you about is just coming into shop now, and that is my Class 60 Dolo 60044, pulling a rake of TTA tank wagons, and we will get a closer view of that very, very shortly. So here is Dolo 60044 and its rake of TTAs that it's hauling. Now recently I went to Guildford Model Railway Exhibition, where I hooked up with Gary over at Cheeky Tech, and I also hooked up with a good friend of mine called Andy Barker, who I used to work with, and he's sort of a good friend of mine, and he's into his trains as well. And whilst I was there, I managed to pick up a nice rake of TTA wagons. Now the ones that I'm showing you, like I said, the BP one, there's a BP one here. That was one of the original ones. There's another one right at the back of this rake, and I bought these two originally. So I bought two of these originally. You'll see it on the other end. And recently I bought another 5. Now these two here, no, the Shell one here and its two sisters, this one and this one, were purchased for £15 each. I've then got this one here, which is the Amico one, or Amco one. That one and its sister, which is again at the other end of the rake, for £12 each. And the ones I've just mentioned to you were all bought brand new. Now, I went to the Guildford exhibition and I managed to pick up another 5 TTA wagons for £5 each. And those 5 are those two, that one, that Texaco one, and those two on the end there, the Total one and the Shell one just behind it. So for 25 quid, I've managed to pick up another 5 TTA wagons, which is cool. So I'm really pleased. So that brings up my rake of TTA wagons to 12 currently. So I'm really pleased with that, because that's just saved me a huge amount of money, and it's a really good buy. I've been asked whether I'm going to be repainting them or not, or whether I'm going to keep them as they are. Quite frankly, at the moment, I'm quite happy as they are, and it might come to a point where I just think actually I will. But for now, I'm happy enough with them as they are. So we will send Dolo on its merry way. And as you can see in the background, you can see quite clearly that I've done the crash barriers and painted them up. So they look pretty cool as well. Now, one of the major things that I have done to this layout is I've completely reconfigured the track work. And the reason for that, as I'm just setting off Evening Star again, the reason is because I'm starting to get going with the fiddle yard, which I will sort of take you to. So please forgive the mess and the bits and bobs that are knocking around. So what I've done is I've now rejigged this area. As you now can see, there's a crossover. Now the point of this is to have one up, one down. So the up is the Evening Star and down is the Class 60. And what happens is at the top end it's turned into 4 tracks. So there's 2 tracks into the station for the up and 2 for the down. So this is where the 60 joins the inner loop. As you can see, the inner loop just to the right of that. So you've got those 2 tracks there for the down, and then obviously you've got the 2 tracks going up for the up, which is linked to the station. We have now got where this HST is sitting is basically being curved off here, because I've now managed to get some board to sort of work on the fiddle yard. Now forgive the mess and everything on it, because I've only just literally got the board yesterday and I've had to do a bit of a tidy up. But as you can see, it goes all the way down to the end now. There you go. That's probably a bit better. And then I've got the warehouses back there. I'm not sure what I'm doing with those as yet. That's just sort of sitting there out of the way. I'm thinking that what I'm going to be doing at this end is I'm going to be using this girder bridge, and maybe just bridging the gap to connect the two together across there. Because I still need to leave this gap in the middle because of the radiator down below, so the heat can then just go straight up and not actually warp the boards or damage the boards or anything like that. So the radiator has a way of just dissipating the heat. So that's what I'm doing at the moment and where I'm at with that right now. So at the moment it goes all the way down to the end. I have been debating what the best way forward is with it. I haven't really figured it out yet, to be honest, what the best way is. I'm still sort of messing around with track plans and stuff like that. But what I do have is, if I just take you up there, you've got the 66 just crossing over the spur, but there is actually a point over there. So essentially it will be 2 lines sort of coming off like that. And then whether or not this third line where this HST is joins up, or whether it just goes into the fiddle yard, I'm not entirely certain. So I haven't kind of worked it out. I'm going to have to toy around with a few ideas. But yeah. So that sort of is pretty much it for the layout update. So that concludes the video for today, and I'd like to say thank you so much, Michael, for everything that you have done for me. So much appreciate everything that you've done. The DBSO looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure it's going to be the envy of many a YouTuber, to be truthful with you. And it just looks absolutely immense, so thank you so much, and a great thumbs up for that. It's absolutely superb. The amount of detail and time and work and effort is just brilliant. It's such a fantastic Christmas gift. And just on that, since it is my first video of the decade, I should sort of say to you that I'm wishing you, I hope you have a great new year. And so there's lots of videos for me to still catch up on, and I am still here, and my layout is still up and running. And like I said, Michael, hopefully I'll catch up with you at some point in April for the exhibition, if you just keep me posted on that. And like I said, that 37 with that DBSO looks absolutely spot on. So until the next time, it's bye from Mildenhall and Vollmer, and it's so nice to have my Prodigy Express working again. I'm so chuffed to bits with that. So hopefully it will carry on and not give me any more issues. So until the next time, it's bye from Mildenhall and Vollmer. Bye bye.